Okay guys, today we got something fun. We got a wheel bearing and some brakes on the 2010 Dodge Dakota. Yeah, so this has been making some noise. That's not a good noise. And then when we were in here, we saw the pads are pretty low, so we're gonna change those as well. Pretty straightforward. First off, you want to pop the wheel off. That is held on by some lug nuts. They are 7/8 in size. After that, you will be able to get your caliper bracket bolts, 1 and 2. Those are 21 millimeter in size. If you're working on the driver's side, you probably want to turn the wheel so it's like this to the front of the vehicle, and then when you're on the passenger side, opposite. So what we're going to be doing now, we're going to be popping this off. It's a 36 millimeter socket. Another thing to mention too, we're probably going to have to hammer this wheel bearing up and down, break the rust, and probably going to have to pop the CV axle out of the spline. I am using an impact, but you are more than capable of using a socket or a ratchet. In that instance, you just want to rest a breaker bar or a pipe along the wheel studs, just so when you're turning, the wheel's not going to turn. Impact's going to be a little bit easier. So we'll just go just like that. Okay, now that we got the axle nut off, I was gonna be hitting the CV axle off, but I don't need to do that. There's no rust in there, which is awesome. Backside looks like this. There's gonna be 3 bolts holding that on. I believe those are 21, but once I get in there, I'll tell you, confirm. But yeah. Awesome, so I got my impact on the first bolt here, so we'll break that. I'm pretty sure these are 150 foot-pounds, so it might require some force, maybe a breaker bar, but we'll see. Came right out. Now there's 2 more. There's a top one here. It's a little bit finagling to get in there. And then there's a 3rd one on the side, but we're gonna have to turn the wheel to gain access to that. We got access to the 3rd bolt. What I'm gonna do, or what I've done just before I get this bolt out, I've put the axle nut back on just so nothing falls out. And then once this 3rd bolt is out, we're gonna follow this little ABS cable up, disconnect that, and remove the hub, but we'll get this bolt off here first. Okay, so the bolt 1 against the impact, we're gonna have to go old school, so we'll get our breaker bar and try not to lose any teeth. Oh boy. Okay, now I think we'll get the impact on. Okay, so got our last bolt off. As you saw, it was a bit of a fight. Before we take anything off the vehicle, we need to take this sensor off. What I'm going to use is just a little 6 millimeter socket. I'm going to pinch in and it's going to kind of push its way through. Just like that. And this is our connector. So all you got to do is push this little tab in, and that's going to pull out. And then we're going to just follow it along the way here. Pull that out. There's one more on the back here. Just like that, we're gonna pull everything out. Now the sensor is off and it's just connected to the hub assembly. So what we're gonna do next, we're gonna start hitting this with a hammer, break the rust off, and this whole assembly should come off with the dust shield. After that, we'll see the next steps. Okay, That was like 10 seconds for you guys. It was about 2 hours for us. We used pretty much a full can of penetrant, a lot of heat, and this fucker, the negotiator. So I'm just using some brake clean and a rag. Might as well spray everything everywhere because we like making a mess. It wouldn't hurt using a wire brush and just kind of bristling along here. And then what I'll be doing as well is I'll be putting some copper anti-seize around this mating surface because I don't want to repeat what just took place because my arm hurts. Okay, so we got to put the wheel bearing back in. Don't forget to put your dust shield in. As you can see, this one's seen better days. It was a part of the getting off process. But you just want to line the holes up, kind of not like how I have them right now. What we'll want to do is swing it in, kind of line up the splines a little bit here. Things are going to move and make noises, which is super fun. Everything's going to kind of just squish in like that. Awesome, so that's kind of in there right now. We're gonna need to put some pieces on and have it hold. Put this on, just keep it from sliding off at least. That's the axle nut. Okay, and then we're gonna want to make sure the back 3 holes are aligned on all surfaces. So wheel bearing, dust shield, and your knuckle. Okay, so we're just gonna torque these down to 120 foot-pounds. What I would suggest doing is making sure this isn't getting pinched. This is your ABS cable. And then when you're putting the bolts in, I would snug all 3 and then work your way around just so you're not pulling this unevenly. Once it's torqued, we will, just like that, we'll be getting the rotor back on. We'll be putting some anti-seize on the hub and switching out the pads. So we're just gonna run the ABS wire here. I got the sensor lined up with the hole in the boot. I've put a little bit of dielectric grease on the connector. Just gonna kind of snake it through here. Might not need to even do that, just kind of get it rough. Start at this bottom one here. This is just gonna push in just like that. I removed the old clip that went here just with a flathead and a hammer, just kind of lifted it up. So I'm just gonna tie this in. Should go click here. Okay, so we got the connector in and this little plug in. We've got everything all secured down to our wheel bearing. So what we'll be doing next is removing this one. And we'll be getting a C-clamp and we'll be pushing these pistons in. Make sure to go in the engine bay and open your brake master cylinder reservoir. That lets the pressure out, and if you're doing a whole bunch of brakes like we are going to be, you want to pay attention to that because you don't want it overflowing in your engine. Really bad for basically every surface, so you want to clean it off as much as you can if you spill it. Okay, so got the pads in, we got the hardware, pistons reset. I put a little bit of Never Sneeze on. We're going to put the rotor in, put the caliper and the pads on, put the bolts in, and then we'll torque this this axle nut down. Okay, so we've got the caliper on here. Just gonna get the 2 caliper bracket bolts. Just put a little dab of blue Loctite on. A little bit of finagling. Never hurts. Once we get those kind of started by hand, feel free to grab your ratchet. Okay, so we got the caliper on with the bracket bolts. Those are torqued down to 130 foot-pounds. We have put the axle nut on, started it by hand, and then snugged it up with the impact. We are going to torque everything down here to 180 foot-pounds. Again, this is your 36 mil. And what I've done here is I just put a breaker bar just to keep everything from spinning when we're torquing it. So this is snug, calipers on. When you're done everything and just before you put the wheel on, don't forget to grease any suspension components. Always good to do that when the wheel's off, when you're down there. Once the wheel's on, don't forget to close your brake fluid reservoir and then pump the brakes to reset the piston. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.